Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and welcome to this World Building Wednesday, where over three platforms, Twitch, YouTube, and Discord, we live chat about a subject, and basically this long form content happens all week long, and we do this Monday through Friday. So far, starting at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and people participating live if they wish. This week's subject is power to the people, in the very literal sense. Hey, what's up, Lloyd? I'm glad I could insert my dulcet tones into your ear hole. There's this week we're talking about easy power to the people, and a world built around it. And we're just going to break it down a little bit. For the most part, I don't think it's necessary for us to. I mean, for your own sake, by the way, I don't think it's necessary for us to specify like where this easy power comes from. I think it's more important as to what people do with it. Easy power is based on a Netflix show that aired here in the States, called Project Power, where basically there's a small pill and you could take the pill, and it's a modern day story, kind of science fiction and fantasy based, where whoever takes the pill gets a superpower for 5 minutes. And it pretty much lends itself to criminality and bizarre behavior more than people trying to change the world, because pretty dangerous and difficult to change, to make significantly, at least in our own minds, significant changes in the world, by having the power to change the world in 5 minutes, rather than stealing and destroying stuff and partying and improving your own status in and around your friends and family and whatnot, in your neighborhood. Pretty difficult to do that, but this also ran in line with an award-winning and highly regarded show, even 20 years later, which is The Wire. So I thought we would go with building upon this idea that, like, what if this was inserted into a community that already was on the edge, right? Because if you could give people a superpower or any kind of power, and I know I'm saying superpower, but if you're in a fantasy realm individual, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, the same rules apply, right? Whether people are polymorphing into dangerous animals, or they're getting magical powers with basically nearly zero investment in the work to do it, except for maybe engaging in some criminal activity to get it. I think that's where we should head. Yeah, your DM says, "Oh my God, yeah, man! If Weebay could get superpowers, there'd be no cops left in Baltimore." Yeah, Weebay, or what season was it with Chris stapling dead bodies in the vacant houses? Like, woo. So anyway, Jarl says, maybe less so today, but for most of human history, the person in charge was the person who could muster the most violence. If any random person can become powerful, it breaks that cycle. Yeah, and it breaks it pretty bad, because even those of us who might feel that we are in a position of weakness, we understand what the rules are, right? Oh, this person is above me. There might be somebody below me. I'm thinking I'm somewhere in the middle, and I know how to adapt to the rules. But if random people can suddenly buck the system, right? Break that cycle of who's down at the bottom, who are the people shuffling around in the middle, who are the people at the top, and you can just leap over or jump over that list, even for a short time. It throws everything out of whack, right? Because it's the classic. It's like being in grade school or high school, right? Weebay Bryce, yeah. Roland Weebay Bryce, a fictional character in the HBO drama The Wire. Weebay is the most trusted soldier in the Barksdale organization. You know, um, considering that I know I'm talking about power to the people, but I have to say that The Wire, I think, did one of the best jobs in creating these criminalized and law enforcement individuals who normally on a piece of paper you would go, oh, police good, they're law enforcement, there's criminals bad, they need to run from police, right? Committing crimes. And all of the intricate motivations that came about from the show, and so many characters too, that they were able to juggle all the characters that I feel like the personalities in that show mixed with the power to like mixed with some kind of like um vast power to do something would really change Baltimore as a setting. Y'all DM says that scene where Weebay just takes every single murder that was done for years is so brilliant. He's like chomping down on fast food, like, who? Yeah, I killed him too. Yeah, there's some people who are like diehards. So, what Jarl DM is mentioning it and waxing poetic on because I'm with them. I'm we're in the same spot, man. Is the fact that this television show operates in the city of Baltimore, and there are these basically young guys who are like drug dealers, and then there's law enforcement. And if you focus on the downtrodden, because really when you talk about power to the people, it's always the people at the bottom that really need it. I mean, you already have the people at the top, and in the case of the television show, law enforcement is the arm that the people in power use against the people in the bottom. And it tells you, it kind of shows you their lives, like why are they in the drug business, why don't they get out, why don't they leave Baltimore, like why would you bother being in the hood in the first place. And it really dives deep into their motivations, including people who like Weebay as soldiers. Weebay is a character that doesn't change to the point that he's like, I'm a soldier in the drug game, and if that means I got to go down for murder, I might as well go down for all the murders, right? It's weird, but it's also cool though. Yeah, Jarl DM says incredibly quotable show too. Yeah, hey, you come at the king, you best not miss. That was Omar with the scar across his face, who back in yep. The name, according to the credits, is Weebay. Really? Rolling Weebay. So talk about Weebay. Weebay is a soldier on the streets, right? And he's unapologetic about his status and his motivation for doing what he's doing. He's like, listen, I'm a soldier in a gang, a drug war, a drug dealer, and he literally makes no apologies for it at all, including when he gets arrested, doesn't even fight it. He's just like, yeah, I got arrested because I'm a criminal. That's why what happened. And when they start talking about the murders, like almost in a I hate to make this analogy, but almost in a samurai honor kind of way, he falls on the sword, and like he knows he's going to go down for one murder, so he's like, no, I did all those murders. Yeah, all that evidence y'all got. Yeah, it's me. And it's like it's a person who the Weebay character is a person who like grasps honor out of a thing that doesn't have any honor in it. Even on the streets is pretty cool. Jarl DM says that scene early on where they're playing chess and D'Angelo is using the pieces to describe the organization is so brilliant too. Oh yeah, he's explaining, mind you, I think something that kind of blows over people's heads is that uh, a large majority of the characters are children. They're like 14, 15, 16 years old. A very a very young and an undiesel like um, Michael B. Jordan is in the television show, looking very very childlike in his oversized clothes. But in the television show, there's D'Angelo, and D'Angelo is part of the Barksdale organization, and he's he's a kid that grows up where, strangely enough, he's actually pretty good at being a drug dealer. He just doesn't want to be one. And he knows his actions and the actions of his family are leading to, the death and destruction of his own community. And he kind of rationalizes it like, well, I'm dealing drugs and they're buying drugs. There's no need for us to be violent and harmful to each other. And he explains to Bodie. Bodie's another great character, and he also explains to Wallace uh, using chess pieces, and he explains about the pawns. Like the pawns, they basically take each other out. But when Bodie asks him, "Well, if I'm a pawn and I get to the other side, I become the king, right?" And he's like, "No, pawns don't. Pawns very rarely become the king. They can take the king out, but a pawn is just they're worthless. They're useless. They get wiped off the board easily." And he's trying to explain to about himself and everybody else that we're just pawns in this bigger game. Whereas, yeah, your DM says, "Nah, man, this shit ain't checkers." Yeah, you're trying to play checkers with chess pieces, and he's just like shaking his head, like you can't. Of course, they call drug dealing the game, and the idea, of course, we can use the analogy of dealing drugs with this drug that gives you power, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think the show, the television show, is a great example of like in a tabletop RPG version of it that you can have 30 people, all of them basically in an evil campaign, right? They're all criminals, they're all backstabbers, they're all like, breaking the law, not maybe backstabbers, but they're all breaking the law nonetheless. And yet they all have different motivations for doing what they do. Wallace, the young kid, well, basically they admit that he's the same age as Bodie. Wallace is an innocent. Like he grew up in in the streets, and he grew up in the projects, and he feels comfortable there. But he realizes with a single phone call that he causes the death of somebody else, and he can't take it. And you think he's this young knuckleheaded kid that needs to be smacked in the back of the head and told to pull up his pants and get out of there. But then you find out that he's basically taking care of, I want to say, damn near orphan children to keep them out of the system, so that they aren't put in foster care, by buying them like juice boxes and making sure they go to school and helping them with their homework. And you're like, well, what? Like, wait, yeah, your all DM says, yeah, we're scrolling hardcore, but The Wire is, I think, the best TV show of all time. I could talk about it all day. Yeah, I started listening to a podcast called Way Down in the Hole, because that's one of the lyrics in the song that starts. It's called Way Down in the Hole. And they go through and start breaking down all the characters and such. Every season, all the characters, every episode. And it's a pretty interesting, I think the television show and Baltimore in general, as a character, as using that for fuel to create a scenario where you have people who would want to have the capability to pop a pill in their mouth and or whatever, take some kind of concoction or potion or elixir or something that grants them a lot of power, would be pretty damn interesting because of just all the characters. The second season with the Sabakas that are Sabatka family that's controlling the docks and the unions, and they're the dock workers, and the crime, the people that are pushed, that make the decision because they're desperate enough to fall into the crime and trying to hold on to a lifestyle that's about to leave. And the importation of everything from drugs to human trafficking and all that kind of stuff. Your DM says, yeah, but you could be sure Stringer Bell isn't taking those pills himself. He's making the soldiers and pawns do it. Yeah, especially if it's going to blow out their minds or engulf them in flames or something. Yeah, Stringer. Idris Elba the, is a character known as Stringer Bell, and I forget his first name. But anyway, Stringer is. There's always been the argument of, is this individual who's basically literally taking night, classes during the day or at night or something for economics and trying to bring economics and business acumen into the drug business. Like, is he brilliant or is he just a backstabbing a-hole? And the answer is probably both. Yeah. Thanks, Dead Man. Yeah, Russell, that's it. Russell Stringer Bell, fictional character, Wire, played by Idris Elba. Bell serves as a drug kingpin. His accent was spot on. Spot on. Great way. Yep. Bell attends economic classes at Baltimore, probably community college. Yeah, pretty interesting character. I almost want to say Idris Elba probably overplayed the character. Like, when I say overplayed, I mean like gave him a little bit too much credibility, because I think we were supposed to believe he was far smarter than he thinks he is. Yarl DM's his best season for me is the one with the school kids. I think that's season 4. I believe that's season 4 too. And each season of the show delves into a part of the city. So you have like the absolute blue collar dock workers. You have drug dealers. There's a season about the political system, and the machinations that happen with the money and the political system. There's a season dealing with the media. It's a little dated, so it deals with newspaper, print, and pagers and things like that. The technology is kind of dated, but the show is still excellent. And there's also a season that deals with the educational system and a bunch of kids that are on the edge of falling in and out of the system and how that works and such. So. Yeah, Jarl DM's his accent was so good that when I saw Idris Elba talking, I thought he was putting on an English accent. I think there is a period in the show where they give him the opportunity to make fun of putting on a fake English accent, and he does a terrible fake English accent so that he could kind of portray himself, which is kind of weird, a weirdism of faking his own accent. But yeah, oh yeah, he's really good at it. Pretty amazing. Baltimore City Community College. Oh, it maintains a personal library, including a copy of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. He attempts to legitimize the Barksdale organization and insulates himself from direct criminality through money laundering and investments in housing development, aided through his buying of influence from politicians. Yep. Yeah. Y'all DMs like Lester Freeman. What a character he is. Man, I gotta rewatch this show now. Yeah, Lester Freeman, the best detective ever. Man, really good show. Really excellent show. As a matter of fact, I think um, I would almost say that, like, if you have to, um, if you were somebody who really has to have an ensemble cast and you want to figure out how to do that, yeah, Squirrely, I get it. It's yeah, we really going off the rails here, but one of the great things about why I think the show really applies to what we were talking about is just that all these great characters are like, you find out what their motivations are, so like, D'Angelo really doesn't want to be in the game, so what would he do? Who would he kill? The character Stringer Bell. Stringer Bell is like, wants to turn it into a business. So again, like Jarl DM says, like, would he use this drug? Probably not, but he'd probably have his soldiers do it, knowing how dangerous it would be, and of course to keep his hands clean. There's Avon Barksdale, who is more seems like he's more motivated about a legacy of having a high reputation on the streets, and that the money and the power is a side effect, right? Like, um, Stringer's all about the money. He doesn't even have, like, doesn't even believe in the street code, but Avon does. As a matter of fact, there's a point in the show where, you know, very casually, um, Stringer orders the hit on someone who has been robbing them, known as Omar, a character known as Omar, who's one of the greatest characters in television history, ever. And Omar, who loves to, who's almost like a samurai himself, or like a gunslinger or something, um, plays the game by only robbing drug dealers. He's like, I don't, I've never put my gun against a citizen. You know, drug dealers aren't citizens. They're members of the game. So he likes to play the game, and he robs other drug dealers. So they put a hit out on him, but they put the hit out on a Sunday. And there was a code on the streets that, hey, Sunday is a day of truce. That's so the old ladies with the hats get to go to church. They get to go to their apostolic or Baptist churches and whatnot, and they get to walk the streets safe from harm on Sunday, and then the war starts back up Monday morning, right? And it was just a known fact. Like, Avon's like, yeah, I want to control these streets, but you don't. It's Elysium, right? And bring up Vampire the Masquerade. It is. There's a certain code that you do it. As a matter of fact, they even had a basketball game between, like, the East Side and the West Side drug dealers, and they had a basketball game. And, you know, Avon steps up and has an argument with a bad call from one of the referees, and the referee's like scared shitless, and he's like, "Oh, well, I could add time on the clock and change it." And Avon gets mad at him. He's like, "Dude, you're supposed to be you're the ref. You don't back down. Like, you know, this is the whole game. I'm supposed to argue. You're supposed to get back in my face. We argue about it a little bit, and then I lose the game. That's how the game works." And the guy didn't understand, but, you know, some people want, this is how the rules work, even if it's lethal. And he tells a rival drug dealer, Proposition Joe, listen, on the court, you won, whatever. But if I see you outside of here, you know, it's you and I. Like, I'm going to kill you. And they kind of laugh about it a little bit, like, in the sense of, yeah, you're telling the truth, but on the other hand, we're playing basketball, and we're just having fun, right? It's kind of weird. Yeah, Jarl DM says that Omar was so menacing, just brilliant. Yeah, Omar, what a great character. And for its time, it was strange to think about 20 years ago being a long time ago, yet a short time ago. Omar was an openly gay character, and at the time there was a lot of controversy about that, including the actor that plays Omar saying because they were going to insinuate that he was gay, and he went to them and was like, no, like, why would, if you're going to show it. And Michael K. Williams, yep. And he told them that he wanted to go, like, fully into this character, show it on the air, that this is a guy who's unapologetic. And, like, he basically told him, like, you know, gay people love each other too. They're sexual people too. Like, why would you gloss over it? If you're gonna go there, go there. And I guess they were a little bit surprised and taken aback, but was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so at its time, it was a big deal. Now I could care. I mean, I watched it today. I was just like, what? This was a big deal at some time, but whatever. Yeah, Omar Devon Little is a fictional character on the HBO drama series The Wire, portrayed by Michael K. Williams. He is a notorious Baltimore stick-up man who frequently robs street-level drug dealers. He is legendary around Baltimore for his characteristic duster, under which I'm sure mentions a sawed-off shotgun. And actually, they made a little mistake there. He's notorious Baltimore stick-up man who frequently robs street level drug dealers. In the television show, that's all he robs: drug dealers. He specifically has a code that he has made pretty blatant to even the police, that he would never harm a citizen, and that's a pretty important thing, especially for those who are in the game. Yeah, man's gotta have a code. You can barely see the wound across his face, which gives him it's like a badge of honor. I think, I mean, in real life, I don't know why he's got the wound across his face. I'm pretty sure it's something pretty horrific, but yeah, he's one of the greatest, one of the greatest characters in the show. And as the each of the characters with their own codes, where you have, since we've kind of gotten off to a squirrely start here, where we're actually basically coming to an end, is this idea that, like, maybe there's a character who only steals, these pills or these potions from other people. You have another character that's like, um, getting high on their own supply, kind of thing. You have characters who are, like the Bodhi character. His whistle is a tune called "A Hunting We Will Go." Yep. Popular folk song and nursery rhyme composed in 1777 by English composer Thomas Arne, or Arne. The A is an archaic intensifying prefix. Compare "here we come" a wassailing, "here we come" a caroling, and lyrics to the 12 Days of Christmas. Hmm. Okay, I did not know that it was a thing. The the A in "A Hunting We Will Go." I did not know that. Intensifying prefix. I learn something every day. Um, yeah, there's a number of reasons, like the character Bodhi doesn't he only sees the streets. He can't see that there's any other way of living his life. He's kind of convinced himself that as long as he soldiers along and sells drugs on the corner, he'll live and die on the corner. Thanks, Dead Man. He'll live and die on the corner, and doesn't see that he is a pawn. Doesn't see that there's a better way out of it. There are other characters who see the outside world, like an Omar, who's brilliant enough to see that living on the streets and being a lawyer and in a courtroom and the law enforcement and all that, and the politicians, they're all exactly the same. You have the characters like Stringer Bell that feel like, if I can just garner enough money, I can get out of this and become legitimate, not understanding that there is no legitimacy outside of the streets at all. It's just a different. They're playing with a lot more money and a lot more power and covering a larger area, but they're exactly the same. Yeah. Yep. The hi ho, a dario, a hunting we will go. Yep. We'll catch a fox and put him in a box and never let him go. Yeah. I didn't realize the a hunting, the ah sound was an intensifying prefix. I bet if we went through nursery rhymes, we'd probably find a lot of them. Nursery rhymes and songs and things like that. Hmm. I'll have to. Now you got me thinking about that. Anyway, as we reminisced, as we reminisced about The Wire, um, if I think at all, if we've ever wanted to use, oh yeah, 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 it's open source. Unfortunately, the Happy Birthday song is not open source. Yeah, I was just watching myself because, YouTube has electronic. Uh, who knows what might spike off something if you hum a tune on YouTube and or Twitch, right? So you got to be careful about. I want to be careful about that. Heck, what was it like? Probably almost 2 years ago, I played a clip from Game of Thrones. HBO said, "Sure, you can go ahead and do it as long as you don't monetize it," and YouTube still dinged me on it. I was just like, "Wow." Y'all DM says Clay Davis, the polish. cop major, a lot of the big powerful characters are just as criminal and gang based as the dudes on the corner. One of the great things about the show is that comparison. Oh yeah, Clay Davis's very short and very long vulgarisms like, yeah, motherfucker better pay me my money. Shit. his and his the length of the eyes in his shit is like legendary. Shit. I think he let out a shit that was so long he had to walk around his desk, from the door around his desk, get behind his desk and pick up like some kind of like legal papers or something. It was ridiculous, but it was awesome though. It was quite awesome. And yeah, he robbed Stringer Bell of his money. I think he let somebody in his office, got handed a piece of paper, looked at it, and walked all the way around the room, around to the back of his desk. Shit. Oh, funny. Oh my god. Yeah, there's so many little things in that show that were incredible in terms of like who they were, how they portrayed themselves, and there's a lot of it. One of the great things about that television show are how they were able to link what we would consider to be, drugs and drug dealing to be a um, drugs and drug dealing to be a victimless crime, and you find out that nah, it's not really that victimless. There's a lot of people that get hurt along the way, and they're able to tie in all of those disparate elements, especially the season with the kids. The season with the kids is one of the ones that's like you can see that there are kids with such great aptitudes that are never able to develop those aptitudes. You got parents who are, um, in all regards, the worst parents in the world, but they're trying to survive in the world the best way they can. You know, there's the one mom that's trying to get her kids ready for school, and they hear gunshots, and the first thing she does is to put her kid in the bathtub. And she's like, once the gunfire stops, she yells up the stairs like, "Hey, get ready for school! Drama's over!" Like you're like, "Wait, what?" Which I never grew up where I had to be put in a bathtub, but there was some of that around that was kind of normalized around the neighborhood that I grew up in. I like lived right on the periphery. I literally could cross the tracks to get to the better side of the neighborhood, which was kind of weird to be able to like walk across, you know, tracks in the street and just like, oh, that's the better neighborhood. But it was kind of weird to think about it in hindsight. And I left a neighborhood that people never looked outside of it, just like that, like the city of Baltimore. There's people who've never left. They had no idea what the outside world is, and there's still people around the world that don't know anything much further than their own neighborhood. Your DM says they look at all the ancillary industries that help enable and resist the drug trade. Yeah, there's that wound on his face. Yep, Michael K. Williams, and still a brilliant actor. Y'all DM says it's so rough. It shows exactly how kids are brought into the system of drug abuse, how they are denied opportunities, how they're forced into the gangs to survive. Yeah, I mean, easily they fall through the system quite easily, even to the point where everyone there's this like I want to say ignorant attitude by those in power in government and law enforcement, where they're just like, I don't understand why the kids don't just go for this stuff. You're like, was it Presbelusky basically puts the eye out of a kid by hitting him in the head because he's sitting on a police car, and then later on we end up meeting that same kid, and they're like, "Oh, here's a soda, and here's a card if you want to get out the system." And the kid's like, "F you!" Like, dude, you put my eye out. You just literally created a hardcore street drug dealer who will never trust you again, and everybody he knows isn't going to trust you by one simple act, and people tend to forget that, like, your actions today create the enemies of tomorrow. And everyone's like, I don't understand why. It's like, yeah, because of you. Yeah, Y'all DM says, yeah, it's that pull yourself up by your bootstraps philosophy, but the kids don't have socks, never mind boots. Yeah, yeah, they tried. Those, honestly, the kids hanging together, they kind of hanging in the it was like abandoned warehouse area or something like that. But they were trying to keep themselves together. There was the one kid that was expert on the computers, one computer in the classroom, an expert at it. And what happened? He can't, his mom is just like strung out. What do they call him? Dookie. They called him Dookie because his clothes were always dirty, because he couldn't even get his parents to like wash his clothes and get food together, and he always had to come home to make sure his younger brother was fed, and there was always some Michael whose mom was always with some strange dude, and we know that dude was sexually abusive and whatnot. And who's Michael supposed to turn to? It was this crazy thing. Yeah, it's very impressive. Oh, wow. A brawl at a bar brought Michael K. Williams his big break. He was a dancer in music videos. He talks about how a scar changed his life. Wow. Wow. Yeah, and you'll be surprised. Michael K. Williams has been in a ton of movies, even in sci-fi and stuff. So, but anyway, guys, I am running a little bit late here. Show's only about a half hour. Thanks, Lloyd, for popping in, and Dead Man for being ever so loyal to a person who I know it annoys you. I know it annoys you that we philosophically probably think differently politically and whatnot, but we're more alike than a little bit. So I really appreciate that, dude. And yeah, we kind of got squirrely a bit on this show today, but anyway, guys, thank you very much for just popping on in and just being supportive of me and doing the thing that I do and stuff. So, guys, you guys take it easy. Anybody who bothers to listen to the episode or watch the episode or something, sorry, it's not quite the norm, but I appreciate it anyway. Please check out the large archive of crap that we've got on the channel. Anyway, guys, Dead Man, Jarl, everybody else is part of the show. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I will see you later. Bye. You know what? Thanks for watching.